I'm sitting, legs splayed open, soles of socked feet hugging a mason jar filled with boiled water inside a sleeping bag underneath 3 thick blankets atop this makeshift bed, and I can see my breath in the air on the exhale while my dog sits by the door of the van, whining, eyes pathetically looking over at the empty portion of the mattress as if to say, "Let me up, don't you know it's fucking cold in here?" And yeah, I know. So I let him up. I always do. And I'm wondering how I got here, living in a van in the middle of San Francisco. And I know I'm living this way on purpose. I must remind myself of the choices I make to live this way on purpose. Like giving away nearly everything I've owned, a beloved collection of books, my first drum kit, dozens of lively houseplants I propagated myself, shelving and furniture that once belonged to my beloved dead grandmother, a countless number of Hallmark cards marking every occasion saved and given to me by my mother. Like leaving my home of 30 years the week after a sudden, devastating heartbreak to drive 4,000 miles across the country in hopes of fulfilling some long-awaited destiny. Like finally committing to something that was ready to receive, even when I felt like I was nothing. I must remind myself of the things I learn by living this way on purpose. Like the shedding of things somehow makes more soul space, feels less suffocating, less like the things I own me. Like life is all just one long series of letting goes anyway. Like shitting in our water supply is one of the most bizarre and disgusting things humans have ever decided was a good idea. I must remind myself of the privilege I still have by living this way on purpose. Like, I realize I'm typing this on a tiny laptop in an enclosed space with a lock on the door, lit by LED lights that can change color and turn on and turn off with the remote and are powered by a solar panel fastened to the roof. Meanwhile, around the corner, a tall, black homeless man lies in a dirty sleeping bag curled up in a cement doorway of a building that houses a tech company, surrounded by broken bottles, plastic and paper trash, tree limbs recently cut from trunk, and the carcass of a rotisserie chicken from the Whole Foods across the street. Like white privilege is choosing to pay someone $500 a month to live in a van, knowing that if my skin were a few shades darker, I would be sleeping in a doorway instead, even with cash in hand. And I know this because I heard the lighter-skinned brown man I rent the van from use the N-word and blame all car break-ins in the neighborhood on black people. I know this because I watched in disbelief as he punched a black man in the face just for getting too close to him. Body erect, fists up, he repeated over and over, louder and louder each time. "God bless you, sir. Get the fuck out of here. Go. God bless you, sir. Get the fuck out of here. Go." And each time I think of it, my heart still sinks in the sea of sadness and confusion I saw in that man's eyes after the blow. "You're gonna hit me like that?" And he did walk away, but not too far, and pissed in a corner. Some days I wonder how it's possible that anything in this world still feels holy. And I must remind myself that holy is not the glue that holds our God pieces together, but a handhold. Thank you.
And now Yasmin.
I'm sick of you.
Yasmin?
He's on you, but not Klein. Because he didn't hit that.
Does anybody have glasses that are 2.0?
I don't know. You can try these. I don't know what they are. I don't know what these are.
Try him out.
Oh, thank you.
They look nice on you.
Yeah, thank you. I just thought that.
Those are yours?
Well, then I won't be able to read.
Distractions on a train. Distractions on a train in the city of Bombay. A couple pages from my novel, which is not going anywhere. I hope to God I can finish it someday.
You will.
Yeah.
You will.
Turn it up just a hair, just a teeny little bit, as little as you can.
On the trains in Bombay, the colors blinded her. Women crowded into the second-class compartments, pushing back their hair from their sweaty faces, their cotton blouses damp under their armpits, as they held onto the rails above their heads. They stood in the entryway fighting for the wind against their faces, fighting the new passengers coming into the compartments each time the train stopped at the stations. They pushed the little boy hawkers who held onto cardboard boxes. They pushed blind men who had mastered their entry into the women's compartments. Women on their way to work pushed other women with infants in their arms. They shouted at the mothers. Why don't you use the trains after peak hours? You have all day to ride the trains. We have only 1 hour to get to work. The mothers shouted back, we are working too. Everyone has to work here. This is Bombay. The only passengers excluded from being pushed inside the women's compartments were the eunuchs. They came in groups clad in saris, their earlobes fattened with hanging gold earrings, and they sat in the doorways. Women moved away instantly from the doorways, forfeiting their chosen spots, and watched the eunuchs as they lifted their saris to their ankles and squatted, their legs spread out on the floor of the compartments. Sometimes the eunuchs opened their pandans in the middle of the floor with exaggerated feminine gestures and passed the betel leaves to the rest of their group. Occasionally, a bold woman spoke to the eunuchs. Can't you see how crowded we are? And you people just squat there? A group of eunuchs clapped loud and mimicked their rebuker. The eunuchs waited for her station and jumped out after her, drawing public attention as they followed her. The crowds pushed around Umri inside the compartment. She fought back the push. She nudged them in the return. She pushed past the aisles in the doorways towards the inner area of the compartments. She settled in the space near near the innermost windows and looked around. She looked at the women around her, their noses pierced with diamonds, their hair plaited with oil strewn with mogras, white flowers cascading like fountains down thick black hair. Omri thought of the cows outside, on the streets, cows with vermilion on their foreheads, branded. What was the difference between those cows and these women, she asked. Thank you.
All right, next up we have our mini feature, the lovely Tommy.
Okay. You wonder why children in schools are being mowed down almost every day by weapons that don't even belong on battlefields, let alone in the halls of learning. Weapons that can wipe out dozens in seconds. We live in a country where it's easier to get a military-style rifle than a meal or a shelter bed, even if you beat your wife. A country where the NRA pays for the best politicians their money can buy. Politicians who can put a spin on any slaughter. Guns don't kill, people do. It's a mental illness. It's an isolated incident. Besides, we have to consider the Second Amendment. It's a constitutional right to charge into a nightclub and fire into the crowd, or an outdoor concert, a school, a shopping mall, in a large city, in a small town, any place, any time. It's never time to talk about gun control, no matter how much blood is left splattered on the ground, no matter how young the victims are, no matter how much the families plead and plead and plead. And besides, it's just a show, like the moon landing, staged with actors and fake blood, as some right-wing conspiracy trolls are saying on the internet. Every mass shooting has its 15 minutes. The NRA simply waits it out, as do the politicians, who send their prayers and condolences. The last refuge of scoundrels is always religion. If they do something, it's token at best, or a reversal of what they said just the day before. Life is only sacred when they're talking about a fetus. Otherwise, it only matters if it's politically expedient. We've reaped what we've sown. I don't know how many of you here have run into these people. They're at bus stops sometimes. Did you notice that they only appear at certain bus stops in the poorest neighborhoods? Approaching so quickly and quietly, they seem to pop out of thin air, perhaps by some technological means developed by the military. These blue-shirted bullies, with their stern faces and rigid eyes, 30 pieces of silver in their paychecks, and books of citations in their shirt pockets. They pull people off the bus, out the door, and into the street, humiliating them publicly for $2.50. Once I saw them harass a woman who didn't speak enough English to understand what they were saying. She started crying because she couldn't find her transfer fast enough to satisfy the cop, who stood over her like an inquisitor. Then there was the tireless homeless woman who only wanted to get somewhere. She had been walking around since being let out of the shelter at dawn. She couldn't go back there until 7 p.m. She couldn't sit or lie on a bench or a sidewalk without being yelled at by a cop, a merchant, a condo owner. She had to keep moving. Her feet became blistered and tired. It didn't matter to these merciless enforcers that a bus was the only place she could sit. Some people aren't programmed with a sense of shame, and neither are they. Their hearts are removed when they're hired. Their uniforms should have a warning sewed into them. Put this on and you'll sink as low as a human being can. So, I had this weird experience using a bathroom in a cafe one day. Not this one, obviously. But this is a true story. I had to show my receipt in order to receive a small square piece of paper with a barcode. I wasn't sure what to do with it. The guy behind the counter pointed to a sensor in the wall by the bathroom door. I laid the paper under its small red light. The bathroom door swung open. Wow. I went to close it. The counter guy yelled, "Wait, it'll close itself!" As if I had violated some sacred mandate. At least the toilet seat lifted without computerized intervention. No doubt someday I'll need an app on my phone to lift it, or even to enter that room. To flush it, I had to wave my hand in front of another sensor as a sign above it instructed. I wondered if there were cameras to make sure I wasn't doing anything other than the prescribed bodily functions. Perhaps a computer screen behind the wall analyzing what I had left in the bowl. The sink was motion activated. I didn't see any soap, so I just wet my hands. I dried them on my pants leg rather than deal with another red spying eye. Or maybe I needed a separate barcode for that. Of course there were no paper towels in sight, or even a waste can. Was there a laser beam in the wall to eliminate trash or zap someone who doesn't follow the proper procedure? On the way out, I tried to be polite and hold the door open for the person next in line, but the counter person admonished me, "Everyone needs a barcode to get in."
God.
Yeah, God forbid some poor homeless person uses it. All the complicated technology in the world can't hide that simple truth. And one final short piece from my youth when I was, well, you'll get it. She sat there in tight green cutoffs, a torn pink blouse tied up at the bottom, and yellow rubber flip-flops. She had a tablecloth patterned scarf that barely concealed the pink plastic curlers in her stringy bleached hair. She was snapping gum, like the girls from St. Maria Goretti High School who'd sit in the back of the bus in their uniforms and non-patent leather shoes and snap like fingers at a concert. I once thought of writing a piece for guitar and snapping gum. She wore a shade of foundation that made her look ghost-like. Her eyebrows were penciled on in less than perfect arches. She looked over at me. I could feel her gaze examining every inch of my body. I was dressed like a cross between Bette Midler and David Bowie. My face and fingernails were painted. My hair was long. I was not a man, but not a woman. Gender fuck, we called it. It was meant to be unnerving to the gender conforming. Suddenly, she leaned over to me and said loud enough to be heard a block away, "Are you the product of a broken home?" I snapped back, "No, virgin birth." Some people on the bus chuckled. She shut up. True story. I swear, every comma is true.
That was awesome. Okay, and now we have Hal Robbins.
Dr. Hal.
Dr. Hal.
Dr. Hal.
The doctor is in the house.
Oh, doctor. I have some symptoms.
Distraction from dis meaning wrong and the verb traho or to draw. When you're distracted, you are drawn toward the wrong thing, etymologically. The Convergence of the Twain by Thomas Hardy. Lines written on the recent loss of the Titanic. In the solitude of the sea, deep from human vanity and the pride of life that planned her, stilly couches she. Steel chambers late the pyres of her salamandrine fires, cold currents thrid and turn to rhythmic tidal lyres. Over the mirrors bent to glass the opulent, the sea worm crawls, grotesque, blind, dumb, indifferent. Jewels in joy designed to ravish the sensuous mind lie lightless, with all their sparkles bleared and black and blind. Pale moon-eyed fishes near gaze on the gilded gear and query, what does this vaingloriousness down here? Well, while was fashioning this creature of cleaving wing, the immanent will that stirs and urges everything prepared a sinister mate for her, so gaily great, a shape of ice, at the time far and dissociate, and as the smart ship grew in stature, grace, and hue, in shadowy silent distance grew the iceberg too. Alien they seemed to be, no mortal eye could see the imminent well-being of their later history, nor say that they were bent by paths coincident on being anon the twin halves of one august event, till the spinner of the years said, now, and each one hears, and consummation comes, and jars two hemispheres. Any time left over?
Yeah, you got about a minute and a half.
Oh, okay, because Sue Ellen asked me to read something which she gave to me, though she is gone now, by Barnaby Googe. Anybody heard of him? I hadn't, but here we go. Give money me, take friendship whoso list, for friends are gone, come once adversity, when money yet remaineth safe in chest, that quickly can thee bring from misery. Fair face show friends when riches do abound, come time of proof, farewell, they must away. Believe me well, they are not to be found, if God but send thee once a lowering day. Gold never starts aside, but in distress finds ways enough to ease thine heaviness. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay, coming up next we have the ever so lovely Greg Pond.
Oh, there we go. I got it. Yeah. Rick. Good to be back.
Good to have you back.
Yeah. In your front. Anyways, I'm going to read this. I've read it before, and this is Final Call. When hope has left the gate, it gets replaced by fear and hate. The love we were given has been lost since we've been living in this culture of violence and rape. Proposals for control, like suggestions for change, silently fall on the deafest ears and bites the dust that thickens on shelves during midterm election years. When our feelings reel from madness to sadness to glad it wasn't us, then something's got to be done. Annihilation awaits any nation that loves its guns more than its sons, loves its daughters just a little bit less, and its neighbors not much at all. A generation will be left to fend for itself if a nation ignores the final call.
You got almost 4.
3.5. Close coldness. I love, yet I'm losing you. A little more each and every night by end of day. Old memories burn bright, but our present fades away. So now we only embrace with the close coldness of half smiles and distant hugs. Because any other gestures or expressions of love rarely fall upon either one of us with more than just frigid stare or icy touch. Lamenting the loss of lust as you lay here under the same chilly sheets as I lay, freezing, seeking the warmth from all the heat we used to produce when you were still into me, and for me it was all about you. Now we live in a room where nothing is new, and each year every winter appears a little earlier, lasts a little longer, and we shiver a little more blue, hoping to find hiding under blankets of snow and pillows of frost, a glow of the love we used to know, but somehow seem to have lost. And one more that I did not write, but was written by Norman Whitfield and Barrett Strong back in, I guess, maybe early 70s, late 60s. And it was performed, it is a song lyric, but performed by the Temptations. And I think it's very appropriate. There are some things that may be a little bit dated in it, but overall, it's amazing how much this hits. And it's a ball of confusion. That's what the world is today. People moving out, people moving in. Why? Because of the color of their skin. Run, 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 but you sure can't hide. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Vote for me and I'll set you free. Rap on, brother, rap on. Well, the only person talking about loving thy brother is the preacher. And it seems nobody's interested in learning but the teacher. Segregation, determination, demonstration, integration, aggravation, humiliation, obligation to our nation. Ball of confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey. The sale of pills is at an all-time high. Young folks walk around with their heads in the sky. The city's aflame in the summertime, and the beat goes on. Evolution, revolution, gun control, sound of soul, shooting rockets to the moon, kids growing up too soon. Politicians say more taxes will solve everything. And the band played on. So round and round and round we go, where the world's headed, nobody knows. Great Googa Mooga, can't you hear me talking to you? It's a ball of confusion. That's what the world is today. Fear in the air, tension everywhere. Unemployment rising fast, the Beatles' new record's a gas. And the only safe place to live is on an Indian reservation. And the band played on. Eve of destruction, tax deduction. City inspectors, bill collectors, mod clothes in demand, population out of hand. Suicide, too many bills, hippies moving to the hills, and people all over the world are shouting, "End the war." And the band played on. Great Googa Mooga, can't you hear me talking to you? It's a ball of confusion.
Okay, up next, we've got two more and then the last words. We have Garrett Murphy. Get up for Garrett. There's Garrett.
Hey Joe for a punch. This is Hugh Briss in the Medley News. We have breaking news tonight. Breaking news. Authorities have reported that after a year-long manhunt, they have finally apprehended the serial murderer of Mr. Punch. Due to eerie similarities between his actions and those of the Punch character in the centuries-old puppet show Punch and Judy. There are, however, a few differences noted by witnesses. The most notable of which being that instead of the stick known as the slap stick, this punch doppelganger uses a flagpole, complete with Old Glory herself, the kind with an eagle on top with which he impales his victims, all of whom also bear a striking resemblance to various other characters in that show. Even in some cases, those long thought out of fashion, all that is except the first, whom authorities have been at a loss to identify, though curiously there appear to be 2 Judys among the victims. Our roaring reporter Camden's Army is live right now with the SWAT team of Homeland Security teams, who are proudly displaying the heavily shackled ersatz Mr. Punch. Camden, yes, here we are right here with members of SWAT and Homeland Security bringing out the heavily shackled Punch impersonator so we can get a state print from him. Now, you imposter, hold it, Cameron. We have a bulletin coming in. Authorities have finally identified the bogus Punch's first victim. He happened to be the original Mr. Punch. That is a shock to you, but then who is this? Wait, they're just taking off his mask. And no, it's Donald Trump. But, of course it's me. Who else could have taken out that grinly, ugly, un-American foreign twerp with a hook nose, silly hat, and scrawny pogo stick but me? Now, if you'll excuse me, watch out, he's somehow broken free of his bond and he's gotten hold of his flagpole. I'm going to show you all the way to really do it. Camden, SWAT team, Homeland Security, we've just lost our signal. Dear viewers, I promise we'll keep trying to get back to Camden if at all possible. Wait, this just in, they're identifying the rest of the victims. The first Judy has been identified as Rosie O'Donnell, the baby was Marco Rubio, the constable was Reince Priebus, chair of the Republican Party, the crocodile's Chris Christie, Pretty Polly was Carly Fiorina, Jimmy the Clown was Rand Paul, Jimmy the dog was Bobby Jindal, the lawyer is Lindsey Graham, the ghost was Rick Santorum, the second Judy has been identified as Megan Kelly, Mr. Garamush was Jeb Bush, Jim Crow the Black Man was Ben Carson, the doctor was John Kasich, the skeleton was George Pataki, Jack Ketchum was Mike Coventry, and the devil was Ted Cruz. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Hugh Briss, warning all to remain wary at all times, for it appears there is a new Mr. Punch on the loose. If we do somehow hear from Camden's Army or the SWAT team or Homeland Security, we'll let you know. But in the meantime, watch out, please. Thank you, nuts. We thank you for tormenting us, for calling us names, for harassing and profiling us, for assaulting us with your slaps, your fist, your weaponry, your spittle, and for shouting obscenities and slurs in our faces. We thank you for your collective punishment, for your destroying our property, our loved ones, our very own lives, and please accept our thanks to you for your attempts to destroy our self-esteem and pride. You've done us a tremendous service we shall not soon forget, and should you truly believe any of the above, then you, Zulsters and Madams, are truly no more than just another perpetrator. Thank you.
All right, Evie, you're next.
Yeah.
Woo! Evie!
And then we'll have our last word. And prize and door prizes. So stick around.
We will fly.
Exciting door prizes.
We have many doors to give away.
Yes, there are many doors to give away.
Let's do this.
Thanks, Greg.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Just one
Yeah.
thing to add to what Tommy was reading about.
Close to the mic. Get close
Sorry.
enough,
Yeah, as far as the goons waiting to drag people off the bus and give them tickets, well, the game is this. You get a ticket, you're homeless, right? And fine, you go away. You get another, you get that ticket, and then you get something from the court, that is if you have a place to get your mail. And I work at such a place where folk can come and get their mail. And then so you get another ticket. And then you get the third ticket. And then there's a bench warrant out for you. Yeah. That's how that goes.
Yeah.
But, we're all reading about these damn times that we're living in. And I've, like a lot of you, I've been getting deep PTSD. Because I am one of those people who, because of chain migration, I don't have grandparents. And not having chain migration. Anyway, what I found here, was going through some stuff. This is an old poem, but it's not really, it's a sort of a found kind of piece. It's, you'll hear it when I read it, but yeah, okay. It's called Write Your Local Representative. The letter to Eleanor Roosevelt went unanswered. I sleep with the bad carbons, the old hopes no one sleeps with anymore. These pillows are soft and somewhat sad. Dear Madam, the twins wrote then, we apologize for taking the liberty to apply personally to you, dear Madam. We know that you, the First Lady and First Mother in this country, have a golden heart and will understand our sorrow. Can you imagine, dear Madam, how much shocked we were when we learned now that the American consulate in Germany will be closed? Is it possible, the sisters wrote, with the assistance of someone who spoke the new language, that all the work and care and expenses should be in vain, and that just when we face the final fulfillment of our most ardent longing, the reunion with our parents, should all be canceled? We never can be happy and enjoy the beauties of this blessed country while we know that our parents are retained in Germany under the most precarious circumstances. So in our helplessness and distress, the sisters wrote, we took heart to apply to you, dear Madam. You, in your universally known humanity, will find a way to help us, that our beloved parents will be granted the immigration visas by the American consul in Vienna, and that after all the troubles and sorrows we have gone through, we again shall be reunited with them. You, the best woman and mother in this country, will understand the feelings of our parents and of ourselves. The sisters wrote, please accept our deepest gratefulness for all you will do on our behalf, and God may bless you, our beloved President, and all those near and dear to your heart. Very respectfully yours, they closed. Dear God, dear Eleanor, dear Sorrow. Chain migration, you get to have a whole lot of family missing. Like, you get to have no grandparents. Thank you, Mr. Trump, for triggering all that crap.
Okay.
And now,
Give us our last
Sharon,
word, Sharon.
the last word.
Back to bank with you, honey. I did it on purpose.
And now, finish off this great evening of poetry and song and politics and
dance. I'm going to relate to you a really, that was nice, Evie. That was Evie's mother and aunt. Those letters. I went to the corner store, and it was a dry goods store. We don't have those anymore. I went with my best friend, and we went in. We were 6. We walked in with our parents, with our mothers' high heels and their purses and their hats. The merchant said, Mo said, oh, my best customers are here. He shooed the lady away, and we walked. We walked in, and he put fabric in front of us, and he said, what would you like? He says, we're going to a ball, and we want the best. So we picked out the fabric, and we said, we'll send our driver. We go home, and he sends his son over with the fabric, and we are happy. We go the next day, and he's crying, and we said, Mo, what's wrong? He said, I broke it. And he had broken his menorah. Janice and I had no idea how hurt he was. But we went to my uncle, who was a watchmaker, and he took some candelabras and he made a menorah. Janice and I searched out a rabbi, and that rabbi blessed the menorah, and we went back to Mo with it. And we joined in with Ben and Mary, the merchants across the street at the store, and we had our first Seder.
And so we come to the end of the evening, but don't leave yet because we have fabulous prizes. Fabulous.
Right. Wait, where are the numbers at?
Oh, the numbers. So we have, each of you had a number by your name on this sheet. You probably don't remember it.
You get to shuffle them.
I get to shuffle them.
They're
No,
ready.
Dan does. Oh, they're ready. Okay.
But you'll probably pick the people who are not here, but then just...
Yeah. We'll just, okay.
Toss them
So, you all ready?
Okay.
Drum roll, drum roll. Number 8. Who is it? So let me just tell you that in addition to these books that we talked about at the beginning...
He knows what he wants.
Oh, he knows what he wants.
He knows.
Okay, you got it.
But you can tell the people. Tell the people.
Oh yeah. So we also have the mini feature, which that person gets 8 minutes, like I did earlier.
That was Tommy.
In the second half. You can be the co-pilot.
Which is kind of both of us.
Yeah, which is what we're doing up here.
Co-pilot. Coco.
Co-pilot. Okay. And then you can choose the theme.
Which doesn't really matter.
I know, because very few people
worked on the theme tonight.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They did a lot of
That's
people
true.
I didn't mean to say.
Everybody ignores it.
I always ignore it.
Unless it's baseball.
I always
then...
ignore it. And the last word, which is what Sharon did, so you get to go on right after the feature.
The second half.
Start the first half and you end the first half. So that's that, and then we also got these wonderful books, which I won't go over again, because I know it's late and we've run over.
You can come up and look at them yourself.
You can, yes, exactly. So the next number is 17.
Yasmin! She just left.
Okay, another number, 2.
Brent Peter also left.
Number 14.
Joseph George!
Taking a draw.
I really like this two-tone wine glass situation here.
So, pick your... Oh, great, okay. Number 18.
Tommy!
Oh, no.
You gotta pick something.
I know.
Pick a card, any card.
Yeah. There's too much stress. How about I'll choose the theme.
Okay, and you can think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Okay.
Think about it.
Okay, oh, I gotta pick another number. 6.
Joe Pasquale.
He got the mysterious diary that somebody... Number 3.
43?
Sue Ellen, she left.
3. Oh, okay. 13. Lucky 13.
Sharon!
All right,
Sharon! Oh, we got to choose the theme. Okay.
What do I gotta get?
You got some books and you got mini feature, co-pilot, and last word. And you got these books. You got Birds of North America. You got D.H. Lawrence's Studies in Classical Americana or whatever it is.
Mark Schwartz, which is
Mark Schwartz.
Okay. The mini feature is what now?
You get 8 minutes.
8 minutes in the second half. Do that.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
Sharon.
put her on the
Got
next
it.
sheet.
Got it.
On the next one.
Oh, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah. She's with it. Number 19. 19. The pickings are getting slimmer here.
The slimmers are getting picky
The
here.
slimmers are getting pickier.
Oh, yeah.
Birds of North America. Number 5.
Owen Duncan.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, shit.